Sellers are starting to break. So is the economy. I want to show you this report. Layoffs by U.S. employees totaled 202,000, the highest quarter three total since 2020 when 497,000 jobs were cut. Now, I hate using 2020 as an example. I wish that they would correlate this towards some of the other recessions just because that was essentially a Great Depression because of the lockdowns. However, some really good data points showing us how much worse standing the economy is right now. Right here, if we take a look, so far this year, companies have announced 946,000 job cuts, the highest again since 2020 when there was 2 million that were announced. However, this is the big kicker. It is up 55% from the 609,000 job cuts announced through the first three quarters of last year and is up 24% from the 2024 full year total of 761,000 jobs. That right there is showing us that 2025 year-to-date total is the fifth highest in the 36 years Challenger has been reporting. That means it would take us back to 1989. So the fifth highest year with the amount of job cuts in the last 36 years. And yet they want to tell us that everything is great. There's talks that the lockdowns are also being extended because they don't want to release the jobs data. It's been awful under Biden. It's been awful under Trump. They just can't get the economy going because they've done so much money printing that they've just done the damage. They need to let the recession come, but they're trying to do everything that they can to avoid it. Now, if we take a look over here, more home sellers test the market, but buyers aren't budging. Now, under contracts are going down here in Utah and nationwide, and I'll show you that. Now, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and when you do need a real estate agent in Utah, Pinko the Realtor has your back. So right here, more home sellers test the market, but buyers aren't budging. And if we take a look, 2.3% year over year is the amount of new listings. That means new listings are higher year over year nationwide, and they are in Utah as well, in our greater Salt Lake area. Now, right here, if we take a look, pending sales, the under contracts fell 1.3% from a year ago. It's actually much more than 1.3% here in our greater Salt Lake City housing market. I'm going to show you a graph. Before I do that, my Halloween event, the best Halloween event in town, is this Saturday. Come anytime between 6 and 9 p.m. There's going to be a magician. There's going to be ice cream chocolate floats with cinnamon rolls or donuts, a bounce house. We're going to have a photo booth, and the magician does really amazing tricks. It's going to be a great time. Come through. The contact information, the address, everything is going to be down below in the description and in the comments. So right here, pending home sales are falling as well as new listings are up year over year. But that's much more true in our Utah housing market. You're seeing inventory, this blue purple line, is much more elevated than in the years past. And if we take a look, you see under contracts are now starting to dip. So right there, that blue purple line is dipping below last year's orange line, and that is signaling the amount of back to the market, the amount of homes that are falling out of contract. So if you take a look, 2022 in that second half, and that's where we saw prices drop upwards of 15%. Nationwide, it was 10. We were the third hardest hit metro after Austin, Texas, and Boise, Idaho. So right here, you're seeing that this blue purple line, it's ticking up. So if we take 2022 away and we compare it just to last year, you're seeing that we have more homes falling out of contract, the pending home sales falling through than a year ago. And yet inventory is staying elevated and under contracts are, well, dipping negative year over year. That is not indicating that things are great. Now, what is happening is I've been able to get people some really good deals lately. We've been able to hit the seller, and the sellers are finally starting to budge. So this over here that we're seeing, home sellers aren't and buyers aren't budging. Well, sellers are not just testing the market. They're seeing what's going on. I actually have people, when they call me to list their house, they say, I'm hearing the market isn't that great. And people, knowing that, are putting their house on the market, meaning they're pricing it better than the ones that are on the market, causing them to come downwards as well. And that has been happening. I've been getting hit on my listings, and my sellers, one of them, they just said, you know what? It's just been so long. I'll just take that offer even though I don't want to. So the buyer sent us an offer. We countered them, and the buyer said, I'm not going a penny up more. It's a take it or leave it offer. And the seller said, yeah. And then I just got somebody else a great deal with negotiating for them. Same thing. The seller said, you know what, I'll just take it. Much lower than what they were initially willing to do. The agent was actually surprised. The listing agent thought that the buyer or the sellers would not accept that offer. So you're just seeing that. You're seeing the housing market starting to break, starting to allow better deals for buyers. And sellers are becoming more serious. They're coming to the market and they're starting to break, seeing that things are just not looking good in the housing market or the economy. Now, right here, you're seeing that home sales are sluggish as stubborn sellers refuse to give in on price. And this was the summer market in June right here. However, that is no longer the case. Sellers are now starting to negotiate and understanding that the economy and the housing market are not in great standing. So if you do want to test the market to see what you can get, give me a call. Let's go out there, let's negotiate, and let's get you a good deal. And if you want to wait to see if there's going to be a recession, if there's going to be foreclosures, hey, wait until 2026, 2027, doesn't matter to me. I'll be here for the next 20, 30 years. And so we're taking a look at all that. Mortgage delinquencies are exploding. We went over this a little bit over a month ago. And then the biggest one is what's happening in the car industry. I mean, I've shown this multiple times. 2 million borrowers have a delinquency, a student loan delinquency, show up that have a car loan that otherwise wouldn't have. I mean, these scores just didn't make these consumers riskier. They revealed a risk that had been hidden for several years. So, I mean, you're just seeing things all over the place. And that's why sellers are finally starting to break. They're finally starting to say, you know what? These things really are starting to impact the economy. And you know what? There is more inventory than in years past. And you know what? The under contracts are coming down. So maybe I ought to accept this offer. And you know what? There are deals that are falling apart. Maybe I just need to make the buyer happy. I mean, those are things that are actually going on in the seller's head. Because, like I said, the people that are calling me recently to sell their houses, to put them on the market, because something has happened, they want to make the move, whatever it is, they are seeing that the market, they're saying, oh, my friends are saying it's bad. My neighbor says it's bad. The news is saying it's bad. I'm seeing that it's not a great seller's market. And it's not. It's really transitioning into a pretty solid buyer's market. And this is probably going to hold true as we pass Halloween and head toward Thanksgiving and Christmas. Less buyers, and if inventory is elevated, as we see, it gives you, the buyer, much more leverage. Now, I'm going to do a recap here, a real quick one. But again, the contact information and the address for the Halloween event come anytime this Saturday, the 18th, anytime from 6 to 9, magician, photo booth. There's going to be food there. It's going to be a fun time, bounce house. So just come through. And right here, you're seeing actives much higher than the years past. Under contract are below, falling down year over year. Homes that are falling out of contract are falling out of contract at a higher pace than a year ago. And then right over here, we see the mortgage delinquencies are exploding upwards. More and more people becoming delinquent on their mortgages. Same thing in the car industry with the student loans resuming. The Challenger report is saying that we have 946,000 layoffs, which is higher than in all of last year. And we still have a couple more months to go. And you're seeing that this inventory is up, sales are down, and everyone from buyers to sellers to builders is unhappy in their own way. And that is so true. Buyers feel like prices should be lower. Sellers are saying, you know what? Things are so expensive. I need top dollar for it. And builders are saying, I need to sell some of these houses and nobody's buying them. Nobody's happy right now. And then right here, you're seeing that the housing market was sluggish. Stubborn sellers were refusing to give in on price. This was the summer market. However, right now in the fall, as we're trending toward the holidays, that is changing. I'm negotiating some great deals for people out there. My listings are getting hit. Buyers are just not coming through. And really, the buyers are having more leverage. And so look, hit me up. My contact information is down below. If you're ready, if you have any questions, 801-792-2359. Again, that's down below. Halloween event this Saturday, anytime from 6 to 9. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be the best Halloween event in town.